Coming up next on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota, Silver Slugger finalist plus one silver snub. Ooh, and happy anniversary to an epic day in Cubs history and Scooby Snacks at Wrigley. Zoinks! CHGO Cubs next. Hey, Chicago. Hey, Chicago. What do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs podcast driven by Toyota. Let's go places. It is Wednesday?
Correct.
Yeah, just making sure. Luke Stuckmeyer, Joey Christopolous, and Jordan Bernfield in the building with Sean Anderson running the ones and the twos and spinning the discs. Is that what that means? I don't really even know, to be honest with you.
I have zero discs behind here.
No discs?
Like, are you talking about the halftime thing where they have like the giant wooden sticks and they're spinning plates?
Yeah.
Plate spinner.
You want me to spin plates?
By the way,
I could figure something out.
What's her name? The lady that flipped the cups.
The Red Panda?
The red. Is she okay now? Because that's been about 6 months. They said she would never do it again. She fell.
She's in critical condition.
She's still the GOAT, and my hope is that she recovers and she can get back out there because there was no halftime entertainment like the Red Panda.
No. Hey, so we got stuff to talk about today. We have Silver Slugger finalists. What do some of those guys mean? What's it mean for them? We have one guy that was absolutely snubbed, in my opinion. We have a great anniversary in Cubs history, and we have a rumor about maybe one of the 3 or 4 best players in all of baseball being available this offseason. So we've seen Ohtani available. We've seen Soto available. We've seen Judge available. Now, whoa, what about this guy? We'll get to it in just a bit. But first, the Silver Slugger stuff. So the Cubs have 3 finalists for Silver Slugger Award, right? Best hitter at your individual position. Honestly, they probably could have had 4, or maybe 3 is the right number, but not necessarily the right guys, in my opinion. So it's Nico Hoerner, PCA, and no Michael Busch, but instead Tucker. Kyle Tucker gets a nod for his 3 finalists at every position. Let's go through each of them individually. First, Nico Hoerner. What a season. Think about this. This guy is a finalist for a Gold Glove, and he's a finalist for Silver Slugger. That adds up to a pretty great season. We all knew it, but when you see the award, him start to get that respect around baseball, you realize, man, I would have been I'd have looked like a real clown sitting here right now had they actually traded him. I didn't say trade him. I just said that's one of the guys they must be considering trading if they're going to shake things up. Glad they didn't, most likely because of the injury. I don't know if they ever considered it or not, but if you were looking to do that shakeup, they ended up doing the Tucker deal. But like trading Nico, where would they have been without Nico this year?
Led the team in WAR, 6.1 WAR.
I mean, if you would have said what are the odds on the guys to lead the team in WAR, Nico wouldn't have been in my top 3.
No, I agree, but he had a really good year. The funny thing about these Silver Slugger nominees for the Cubs is that when you think about 2 of the 3, I think you think of them more for their defensive prowess than you do for their offense.
Yeah.
And obviously, Nico had an excellent year at the plate in the fact that, he hit for the highest average on the team at 297. He was able to get on base at a reasonably good clip and was hot at the end of the year. But he's also mostly a singles and doubles hitter, right? I mean, he hit 7 home runs. And is it enough to just be a consistent hit collector? And that's not to diminish who he is. He's a really good player, as we said. But, does that earn you the Silver Slugger Award? I don't know. With PCA, the first half, you were like, this guy's Willie Mays. Of course he's going to win the Silver Slugger. Second half of the year, he's a different player. But at the end of the year, you still had 30-30. But again, most of PCA's WAR was there because he was a great defender, and less, at least in the second half, because of his offense. I mean, Kyle Tucker, the same thing is true. I mean, the injuries obviously hurt him at the end of the year. I don't know that either of the three of them have the strongest case to be Silver Slugger winners. I'd be happy if they win, but I think if you're looking at the totality, I mean, if you just go based on run numbers and you pick it based on more, then okay. But I think if the people that are deciding this are going to look at the totality of their seasons, it's kind of hard to pick because at least for two of the three of those guys, it was pretty uneven.
Well, the most interesting part, especially with the one we're talking about who's going to get snubbed, in our opinion, the three finalists for the Silver Slugger, one of them is up for massive money. Nico Hoerner is up for some new money probably in the next year or so.
Yeah.
And Busch, and PCA probably in the next 3 or 4 years, but he's the type of player, the Jackson Merrill type, that you might want to try and get a deal done sooner than later.
Could be this offseason.
Right. Well, Jed Hoyer name-checked it as much to say, please keep his name, PCA's name out of your rumor mouth so maybe we can get an extension done. Let's just stick on Nico Hoerner for a second, and I want to defend you guys for a minute because I know that it seems it's Halloween season, right? It feels like that it's haunting you, right? This whole we should trade Nico Hoerner thing. Well, one, it probably meant you value him as a player, and two, the Chicago Cubs did have a bit of a redundancy on that 2024 roster, and what did they do? They traded Isaac Paredes, right? And honestly, he got hurt. He had a good year for Houston, but I don't think any of us are really regretting that, right?
No.
And the most important part about Nico Hoerner is the stats that you mentioned. The fact that he was second in the National League with runners in scoring position. So for me, what's so nice about at least acknowledging him to be a finalist for that accomplishment is the fact that you're right, that he was a contact hitter, only hit 7 home runs. But, man, every single hit counted, right? And every single hit really, really came up huge for the Chicago Cubs. And I think one of the major reasons why Chicago Cubs were in position to not only clinch a playoff spot but also win a wild card series was because Nico Hoerner and Michael Busch were at the top of the lineup, really kind of carrying the water for this offense at the time, an offense that we rightly criticized a lot through August.
He was the best Cub with runners in scoring position. That's it. Like
Money in the bank.
I don't know. I still don't know if that is all luck, some luck. Does a player have to be different? I've never decided that. Like some of it is a little bit of luck. There's no debating that. Like, I'm not saying all of it is, but is it 5%? Is it 10% luck?
Well, the opportunity, right, is the variable, but you still have to execute in that moment. And that's why I still value the RBI maybe more than a lot of other people do, because I get it. Opportunity is where you hit in the lineup, who's hitting around you, all that other kinds of stuff, the confluence of events. But when it happens, with Seiya this year especially, he knocked in runs when he got the opportunity. So I give credit to the execution.
Joey, this RBI conversation is giving me severe flashbacks to 2017 when Chris Bryant drove in 77 and everyone was tying themselves into a pretzel trying to explain how, well, he's not getting the opportunities. He's batting second. That's why he didn't drive an 100 this year, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. I think it does matter, too, to some degree. I mean, RBI is a dependent statistic by nature. So, yes, sometimes guys can drive in 1 billion runs, and it doesn't mean they had the greatest season. Mm-hmm. I think we've all evolved enough as baseball fans to agree on that particular point, at least many of us. But I do think that, sometimes you can look at one statistic and maybe overvalue it. I mean, like I'm looking at Nico Hoerner's candidacy versus other Silver Slugger finalists. For example, and Ketel Marte had a 4.4 WAR compared to Nico's 6.1, but he had 28 homers. Yeah. He drove in 83 or 72 rather. He had 87 runs scored. He had an 893 OPS. Okay, so that's
good.
So the WAR was better for Nico, but the WAR was largely defensive too. That's, again, not saying anything negative about Nico, just he's a great defender. Mm-hmm. He is a singles hitter for the most part, singles and doubles hitter, was very consistent. But look, I think if the three of us are sitting here and we're being honest, which player's season would you rather have? You'd take Ketel Marte's season over Nico Hoerner's despite the WAR. If you got 28 home runs out of your second baseman,
I was going to say, when's the last time a Silver Slugger winner at second base had only 7 home runs? And I think more than saying, I want Ketel Marte over Nico, I just think it's a testament to what he did, how great he was at all of the other things, whether it's the stolen bases, the defense, all. Now, that's not all factored into the Silver Slugger Award, but what else isn't factored into it is, who is that guy on that team? Like, Nico having a season similar to this on a team with a bunch of sluggers is super valuable.
Super valuable.
But if you have 7 Nico Hoerners, you're never going to score you're not going to score very many runs, right? Like that was the knock before they got Tucker. I was like, Nico, that's how the whole conversation also got started with the trade. I said, listen, Nico, there'd be teams lined up to have Nico.
100%.
Right? It's like Tommy Edman. Like the teams would line up for this guy to put him in their lineup because he's a different type of player. You don't want all sluggers. You don't want all punch and Judies.
Jed was asked about this
Yes.
at
Bruce
the press
Levine,
conference
yeah,
by Bruce.
bunch
You
of
need
Nico
a 30
Hoerners.
home run hitter. Well, they had him
Yes.
this year. And then Nico did what he did, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, this guy's valuable,
Yes.
which some of us already
Yes,
knew. But
look, I love Nico. Again, this is not me ripping Nico at all. This is just saying, like, if we're talking about Silver Slugger winner, which is an offensive award, Bryce Terang, better numbers. I mean, like, these are just two of the examples.
Yeah, Nico had a
Okay.
great September, and Bryce Trang actually had a better
Yes.
September than Nico.
also a finalist for the Gold Glove.
Yes.
Yeah.
For Bryce Terang, 5.5 WAR, 288 batting average, which is close to Nico's. Okay. But he hit 18 home runs, drove in 81, both considerably higher than Nico Hoerner. 359 on base percentage, 794 OPS. Better. Sorry, if we're talking offense, okay, love you, Nico. Want Nico to be here for a long time. Extremely valuable part of the Cubs. Agree with all of those things. Shouldn't win the Silver Slugger.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong, I think, with
Yeah.
just reflecting and also being really grateful to think how far Nico Hoerner has come, that I think that he's going to win the Gold Glove.
Yeah.
If he doesn't win the Silver Slugger, I'm not going to cry any tears over
And that
it,
he
right?
probably
either.
deserves. The
Right.
Gold Glove he probably deserves.
Right, and the fact that he's brought himself up to this level of being a Silver Slugger finalist and a probable Gold Glove winner again just speaks volumes to the hard work that he's put in the organization. And my only thing is, I know that we're tossing stats around right now. Like, honestly, if you had to ask me a question of who would you rather have on your team, Ketel Marte or Nico Hoerner, after what I heard this year about Ketel Marte asking for long weekends and nights off and away from the team and people questioning him in the locker
Credit
room.
to him.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
Take a vacation
if
where you can.
take it where you can get it.
I'd like 8 weeks vacation. if I
Sign
could
the
get
slip,
it.
baby, and I'm going. But I'm just saying, like, Nico Hoerner showed up every single day, where I think a lot of people in the Diamondbacks were questioning the leadership of one of their better offensive hitters on the team in just this year. So there are the intangibles too that make you, as a Chicago Cubs fan, increasingly proud that Nico Hoerner's on your team.
Agreed. I don't know that he's winning the Silver Slugger. I just think it shows that he had such a tremendous season that he's up for both awards.
Yes,
And he
for
only
sure.
had 7 home runs. That means this guy did a lot of other stuff at a very high level. Now, PCA, he's the other one that's up for also the Gold Glove. Might be the best defensive player in all of baseball at any position. But the offensive thing, as you said, was like kind of one was the first half was he was so good offensively with the defense that you were like, he might win MVP. He's 1 or 2 in MVP right now. That's how good he was. The second half was way more pedestrian offensively. But at the end of it, when it's 30-30, and you're looking at him and he's 23 years old, that's why I say, I don't know that he's winning the Silver Slugger Award, but you can't, the people that are down on PCA after a 30-30 at 23 years old, and a guy that's going to win the Gold Glove and is a finalist for Silver Slugger, what are we talking about? Like he's uber exciting.
Yes. His season was weird because of how it went.
Yes.
But he had, I mean, look, you guys, we talked about this off the air. If I'd said to you in March that Pete Crow-Armstrong was going to go 30-30 this year, I bet you would have both looked at me like, are you bleeping crazy? Right? I mean, honestly, because his offense was mostly terrible until this year. I know you turned it on at the end of last year.
4
You
or
were starting
5
to see
weeks,
it.
that was okay.
It was the end
Yeah.
of the season.
But it
You
was-
hope that continued.
Yes, but it was mostly like well below average where you had no idea what it was going to be. So the fact that the aggregate is 30-30 is amazing. Again, I don't think he's going to win the Silver Slugger because I think there's other guys that in totality had better seasons. I mean, Corbin Carroll also had a 30-30 year, but a higher OPS and a much more consistent total season. But Agreed. 30-30 was amazing for PCA.
I would have, well, you didn't see my short on YouTube where I said a 6-WAR player would change the Cubs offense. Anyways, Jordan, we'll talk more about it. First, a word from our sponsors.
Hey, Cubs fans, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Win or lose, they got the early football payout offer with the Bet365 early payout offer. You're a winner if your team goes up by 17 points with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. So download the app and use code CHGO365 when you sign up. They also have the 100% parlay boost. What does that mean? It means you can double your winnings on parlays with Bet365's 100% parlay boost, and also the MLB early payout offer. If in the World Series one of those teams goes up by 5 runs, you are also a winner. So head on over there right now. Remember, new customers get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5 win or lose. You just have to use the code CHGO365, deposit 10, place a bet for 5, and you could qualify for $200 in bonus bets. Must be 21 plus or older. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER in-app only.
Are you looking to buy, sell, trade, or rip open a pack of cards? Arena Club, changing the hobby with their transparent slab packs and no-fee auctions. You got to check out these slab packs. I ripped a PCA this summer.
You did.
Arena Club makes it easy to collect the cards you love. Get authentic graded cards instantly on Arena Club. You decide, hold, sell, or have them shipped directly to you. With slab packs, you can rip a pack for as low as $25 and hit on a card that's worth tens of thousands of dollars. Arena Club is the most trusted name in the game. From your digital showroom, you can trade, sell, auction, or retrieve your physical card from Arena Club. Yes, the packs are digital, but the cards are real. Arena Club has 1 to 2 specialty drops per week on average. Don't miss them. They're only good for 24 hours. Right now, 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/CHGO. Use code CHGO. 3 Silver Slugger finalists, at least one definite snub, maybe another snub for the Cubs. It just shows you that at times you had a really, really good Cubs offense. At one time, the best offense in all of baseball until it wasn't. And we were talking about PCA before the break. You can't ignore the first half. It happened. It happened, and that's why I feel good about it. Now, the second half was underwhelming, but I combine the two, and it's still a really good season. So I don't think he's winning it necessarily either, but he's up for it. Same thing goes with Tucker. Tucker's the same story. The first half, Kyle Tucker, you would say, yeah, he's winning it. He's winning it real easily. And now, while I was underwhelmed by maybe his defense that I thought was going to be like this elite level outfielder in right field, that didn't really turn out to be the truth. His offense in the first half was everything I hoped for and maybe even more.
Do you think, though, that he was nominated just reputationally? I mean, I think sometimes with these awards, it's sort of like, you know, this guy has won 12 Gold Gloves already. Let's nominate him again. I
think that happens for sure.
I think that happened for Kyle Tucker because as I look at the other outfielders in the National League, and again, Kyle Tucker aggregate solid year. Mm-hmm. We know what happened in the second half, just like PCA aggregate great year relative to expectations, but we know what happened in the second half of the year. Like Corbin Carroll jumps out to me. James Wood had a heck of a year for Washington. It was also an all-star. I mean, Juan Soto hit 40 home runs for the Mets and is a star and may win it because of that. I mean, I'm just saying, like, there are names on here that jump out to me a lot more quickly than Kyle Tucker's name does. I would be pretty surprised if he wins the Silver Slugger this year.
I don't know if he'll win the Silver Slugger, but even just with those names, Carroll, Soto, Wood, obviously all finalists as well, but Tucker was third among National League outfielders in weighted runs created plus. 266 average, 337, or 377 on base average. I know walks aren't sexy, but...
It's Sean, if you had to go with if you had to go with one offensive category statistically, what would it be? WRC plus?
To like define a hitter?
Yeah. Yeah, if you had to say this guy's a great hitter, this guy's not a great hitter. WRC plus?
Probably slug, because that's like the true like most difficult thing to be up there. You know, when you look at Barry Bonds and Shohei Ohtani's numbers, what's going to jump off is the slugging numbers.
Aaron Judge,
So,
they're
I
over,
think
it's over
OPS
600. You're like
OPS is a good one.
OPS to me is becoming the statistic that they're showing on graphics when a player is batting, because I think it's much more illustrative. You know, when you combine the two, right? And you say, okay, gets on base a lot, and this guy is not going up there and hitting only singles, but is hitting doubles, hitting home runs, making game-affecting type of hits. That's where I think you separate the elite players. And look, PCA, to his credit, I mean, for a lot of the year was like in the high 800s for an OPS. It dipped down to the mid 700s because of the second half that he had. But that, I thought, was showing you the type of impact that he was having as an offensive player, because, too, PCA barely ever walked. So it showed you that, like, he wasn't getting on base because he was taking pitches. He was getting on base by whacking home runs and doubles basically every time he got a hit.
Well, even outside of the zone.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, and I think, like, I was trying to just rattle off in my head, Christian Yelich had a really good season in the outfield. Ronald Acuna is usually a guy that makes these type of lists, but he was hurt this year. So maybe it was a little bit more of a dearth of outfielders, why Kyle Tucker, PCA, ended up getting on the list. And when we were talking about, does Seiya Suzuki deserve a mention? He certainly does. But when you talk about OPS, 866 in the first half, 687 below league average in the second half, only hit 213. It's just bad. It's hard to walk away from that. And at the end of the day, I think the PCA, that 30 for 30 maybe helped get him over the edge a little bit. But the only thing that I want to keep bringing up is that, we're a couple weeks into this offseason. And I understand we see it a lot in the chat, Cubs fans saying, get rid of Kyle Tucker. I've had enough of him. Just ready to just cast him aside, if you will. And as each day passes, more accolades are coming in. There's a team called the Los Angeles Dodgers, maybe expected to pursue a guy like Kyle Tucker. I think slowly but surely, I hope Cubs fans realize that first half Kyle Tucker was really special. I understand that the second half was incredibly frustrating and incredibly bittersweet. But this is still a very, very high caliber player that hits left-handed for power. Yeah. And he is a person that is at least worth the consideration. And I'm not saying that the Cubs are likely to sign him, but as the days go on, we continue to see that Kyle Tucker is a bit of a tick above offensive outfielders in Major League Baseball.
I see a segment coming up sometime this offseason. Which player will have a better 2026 offensively, PCA or Kyle Tucker? I would have said Tucker 100% going into last year, but PCA was so incredible.
Both players were cruising towards a 7+ WAR season. PCA possibly even 8 if he had put together a full campaign.
And Tucker's more likely to be injured, but just based on past history.
That question is interesting, but my immediate thought is that unless PCA, and I'm not saying he can't. I mean, he's 23. He will develop. Until he becomes more disciplined at the plate, you have to bet Tucker. Because Tucker has an approach that is sustainable, that allows him to be a great hitter, despite what happened if healthy. Correct. But it's sort of like, if you remember a few years back, we sort of had this conversation about who to keep when the Cubs were dumping the core from the World Series team. And people were saying, well, Javi is Magic and Javi is El Mago and all this stuff. Javi and PCA, if you compare what Javi was when he was here in his good years, sort of all over the place at the plate, would swing at crazy pitches, but also got huge hits. There was a lot of similarity in that for PCA.
The great tags, the great
I think that, like, I hope that PCA will develop it more. And I actually thought in the second half he was starting to get a little bit better at taking pitches. But like Kyle Tucker's approach is the reason you pay that guy money if you pay him, because it's what helps you win.
Sorry to cut you off. Yeah, I mean, I think you guys were even surprised that he was even a Silver Slugger finalist when we brought this up because of how bad his second half was. And I think that just shows you how good, obviously, that first half, how great that was. But his consistency still allowed him to be the third best hitter when it comes to weighted runs created plus in the National League when it comes to outfield. Like, he has such a low floor that is anyone's ceiling. And PCA, maybe he'll have 30-30. He could also have like 50 stolen bases and like 10 homers. Well, what was like a terrible average?
I would say that it's possible that PCA's ceiling is higher than Tucker's, but Tucker, obviously, his floor is higher than PCA's.
Well, and with Tucker, he hit only, I think, 4 home runs after July 1st, right? And and for even a casual Cubs fan, that just didn't feel right, that didn't sit right, that never looked right.
3 of them were in that Anaheim
Yeah,
series,
and to back up your point, Jordan, when you're talking about what you need to see next from PCA, like I just cooked up this little stat that I promise I'll probably say again in the offseason again. But when we're talking about the Chicago Cubs offense and what made it special those first couple months of the year, yes, Kyle Tucker. But I just looked up, I went through all the game logs of PCA, and I said to myself, how many games did PCA just get on base? Just get on base, provide that speed, give me that secondary lead that made the pitcher think a little extra. Steal a base, score a run, whatever it was. In March, April, May, June, and July, the first 5 months of the year, PCA reached base at least once 74.5% of the time.
Wow.
In the final 2 months of the year, he only reached base 56% of the time.
That's honestly more than I thought in the second half.
Well, yeah, a little bit more in the second half, right? Yeah. Well, and again, PCA also, when I looked it up, he had a lot of 1-for-4s. You know what I mean? So he had a lot of nights where he just kind of got a base hit somewhere along the lines. But if you're trying to figure out what that formula is, what the little X factor is, PCA somehow just getting on base. I don't care if he hits 35 home runs. Like, I really don't. I just want him on base. If we can get him up to getting his OBP at around maybe 32-ish%, I'm telling you, we will see the dividends of that in the Cubs offense, even if that number isn't that great.
I expect him to be great again next year. Because why wouldn't he? He's 23 years old. Did he not make a massive jump from 22 to 23?
Huge.
Like, so big that we don't even know what to do with ourselves. It was such a big jump. He has a work ethic that every player on the team has told us, like, nobody has a drive like this kid. Nobody wants to win like he wants to win. He has that. That's what I want in my young, potentially superstar players. So why shouldn't we think that he's... People are, I see Bill in the chat saying if he can't change his batting routine, he'll stay second half PCA. That's possible. But he also made improvements last year that he went from that season to the first half, and you were like, oh my.
Yeah, look at the adjustment timeline already over the last 16 months.
Sean's not buying it.
Well, let me tell you a little story about a guy who wears 88 on the south side, Luis Robert Jr. All the tantalizing athleticism in the world, but he can't lay off a slider outside the zone.
Does he want it as much as PCA?
How can you determine that? I don't. I think that's such a bad talking spot
Eloy
because
was
I think
lazy.
Yeah, Eloy was, but
some of those guys didn't want it. I asked. That's why I asked.
No,
about
I mean
Robert.
Luis
I don't know
Robert.
if he is that guy.
I think if you look at Luis Robert Jr., you do see a lot of hustle. There was that one instance in April of 2024 where Grifol benched him. He came back and hit 38 homers. There wasn't really much of an issue. Also, you look at Luis Robert Jr., I mean, it's like cartoonish how much of a physique he is. Like, it's not really a question of can he be in help, right? Yeah, right. Exactly like you.
It's like,
you know,
it's breathtaking. It's hard to stand next to. I have a hard time.
I just went through this, and the thing that like yesterday on my show with the Sox, the thing that Robert did very well was attack pitches early on in the zone. He was extremely aggressive when he saw his pitch. He was swinging after his pitch, and that seems like what PCA is going to do. And for 2 years or so, that really worked with Robert. He had an extremely high average, was hitting for power, and then it cratered. I think that he does have a profile where it could crater because he is a great athlete. He can catch up to anything in the zone, but if those pitches start to creep away from his true wheelhouse, I think that's where he gets in danger.
His in-the-zone strike coverage is so good and so talented that he started hitting balls up at his eyeballs and outside, and I really think that he got greedy inside the zone, and once you do, then you start opening it up to things that are outside the zone, and then that back foot slider, and then I think that's when it started to go down, where his talent is so immense, he has to learn how to literally harness it for the good of what is the most optimal result possible at the plate.
The only thing that I would say to tag this conversation is that I think that his power numbers do matter. And this is why. Because if we're going to assume that Tom Ricketts is not likely to spend at the top of the market for any one player, then they're going to have to develop power from within. Because they're not going to pay for it. Because paying for power certainty is extremely expensive, and the Cubs don't want to do that. So I know what you were saying earlier. I don't care if he hits 10 home runs and steals 50 bases.
Yeah,
I do. Because he's going to, like, what we got from him this year, as uneven as it was a revelation, because you went from a player that you thought might be a 10 homer guy. Right. But the fact that now he could be a 30 homer guy with any kind of
Jordan,
certainty.
he is a 30 homer guy.
Well, see,
he is, but
Thank you.
that's going to have to be something that they can count. I'm not saying 30 necessarily, but like
Yeah,
20
I'm leading
or 25 might be something they have to count on.
Now we're in the line. Like I'm
Yeah.
leading the campaign that if it's 22, Cubs fans do not freak out that if it's 22 home runs next year, but he's a better offensive player,
Yes.
we should be happy about
Because
that.
if they're not going to pay Kyle Tucker to have that plate approach and
That's
hit 30
fair.
homers, which in a healthy season he probably does, and they're look, I want them to go sign Kyle Schwarber. They're not going to do it. So assuming that they don't sign either one of those guys, you're going to need some of your guys to hit home runs. And if that means that Matt Shaw doesn't produce enough as a corner infielder, he was a nice story this year, but if he doesn't produce as a corner infielder, then go get a guy that's going to hit you 25 home runs. Okay? They're going to have to do it if they can't develop it. And right now, it looks like they may have developed at least one guy that could hit 30 home runs.
All right, we're going to talk about the snub Cub in just a second. But first, a word from our sponsors. Hey, Cubs fans, Toyota has not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 25 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. The RAV4 has legendary versatility. The Grand Highlander's adult-sized third row is for real, and the Tacoma's wild side, that comes standard. From job sites to campsites and game nights, there's an all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive Toyota to get you there in style. Find yours at Toyota.com or visit your Chicagoland Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. Joey, what a time it is in our life right now to be a CHGO diehard. You got to sign up if you haven't yet, folks. Get access to our exclusive written content, a free t-shirt, plenty of discounts on future merchant events, plus access to our CHGO Discord lounge where we all hang out and talk Chicago sports and so much more. Go to allchgo.com for the latest information. We got thousands of diehards and sickos just waiting to be buddies with you.
And all right, athletes, I got a question for you. Are you serious about leveling up your game? Because the right coach can simply change everything and anything. And now finding one, it's easy with Eye on the Ball, the company created by CHGO diehards. And it doesn't matter if you're a kid starting out or just competing at the top level. You can sign up totally free at eyeontheball.com. Here's what you got to do. You simply create your profile. You search through coaches in your sport and connect. Eye on the Ball connects you directly with one that's right for you. Soccer, swimming, baseball, basketball, you name it, pickleball, the coaches, they are all there for you. So what are you waiting for? Hop on over right now. Your future coach could be one click away. Jump on today at eyeontheball.net. Remember, athletes, that is eyeontheball.net, the company created by CHGO diehards. Find your coach today and take your game to the next level. Even the pickleball.
I like to pickle. Okay, snub. Who got snubbed? I think we mentioned Seiya. Maybe Seiya did get snubbed, but that was first half Seiya that got snubbed, and maybe even playoff Seiya that got snubbed, but not second half Seiya that got snubbed. Michael Busch, and again, some of it is recency bias, right? Like some people, when you're talking about snub for Seiya, you're remembering, oh man, he hit some home runs in the postseason. He got really hot at the end of the year. That really worked. Busch hit some big home runs for you in the postseason too, and all of a sudden, that's when people started to realize, man, of all these guys, is he your best offensive player? When you had two guys that were in an MVP conversation the first half of the season, when it's all said and done, was Michael Busch really the best offensive player on the Cubs? And that's what makes it crazy that he's not even in the Silver Slugger conversation as one of the three finalists, right? Like, we just talked about a team that had the best offense in baseball for at least half of the games. This guy was their most consistent player, and he didn't even get to bat against half the pitchers.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
He had the least,
the
least at bats, right? out of the three. Well, my first blush thoughts on when you see who the finalists actually are is to your point earlier in the first segment about outfielders. It's a stacked class of household names, right?
Yes.
It's literally like if this was the Oscars, it's like Tommy Lee Jones, Michael Caine, and like Peter O'Toole. And Michael Busch is maybe like the rising up-and-comer, right?
Yeah.
Whose numbers are incredibly similar and probably deserves the same amount of credit.
Don't forget Meryl Streep.
Oh, and yeah, Matt,
She's a lot.
Freddie Freeman 1,000% is Meryl Streep in this.
She's in a cameo,
analogy
but
here.
If you what is there a worse feeling than being nominated for something with Meryl Streep? You have no chance to win.
I never thought she'd be brought up on this podcast.
I guess the dinner will be nice. Is maybe the thought
Right,
process.
you show
there.
up in a suit or a dress, and you get to bring a speech card that you're not going to use.
But also, it's like the guy that finishes second to Jesse Owens upset. Like you finished second to Jesse Owens. It's
You know
a pretty
who it was?
no,
Exactly.
but I know who Jesse Owens is.
Right, but
And
you
if
don't know
that
who
guy
the other
said
guy
I
is.
finished second to Jesse Owens, I'd be like, oh,
it's
that's
not
impressive.
getting you dinner reservations on a Friday night, unfortunately. But the part that I really liked about this was one, when we talk about WRC plus, Luke, Michael Busch had 140. I think Pete Alonso 141. Freddie Freeman 139. I forget Matt Olson's, but it was a little bit underneath. Right there with them, right? And of course, I think he tacked on 5 or 6 a little extra WRC plus with an amazing final series against the Cardinals. Yeah, here we are, right there. Thank you, Sean. 136 for Olson, 139 for Freeman, 141 WRC plus, and 140 WRC plus for Busch. I mean, Jordan, look at these numbers, man. He is not far off. He is step for step, second in home runs, right there in F4. I mean, it's just an incredibly impressive
right
season.
there in slug. It's
Yeah.
524 to 523.
Joe, you made the point. You're right. You have household names, and Michael Busch is not one of them.
Yes.
In this case, right? It's neck and neck. So I think in the cases of the three, ironically, who were nominated for Silver Sluggers, I would argue that they probably got a boost because they're Cubs and because of the first half of the year that they had and all that sort of thing. But when you look at those numbers, yeah, Michael Busch certainly could have been one of those three. And if he had won the Silver Slugger, I think he would have had a pretty good argument to win it. So he is the one where I think that there's actually, this isn't like one of those all-star game snubs. It's like, how come my guy didn't make it when they put 63 guys on the all-star team? Like, this was like really actually something that I would be a little disappointed with if I were him.
Those stats show that if he's one of the finalists, I think he has the best chance out of all those Cubs players to win. Right? Like we mentioned, I don't know that PCA is winning. I don't know that Hoerner's winning. I don't know that Tucker's
Stacking up
winning.
number to number.
Yeah, but like if you put percentage of win chance at his position, if he's one of those three finalists, I think he might have the best chance of all of them if the Cubs had 4 finalists.
Yeah.
But they don't.
He's the youngest of the bunch. I think the question came up either yesterday or on Monday's show. I think, Luke, you asked the question, did the Dodgers ever make a mistake? You can make a compelling argument, right, that they made a mistake trading Michael Busch away, but Freddie Freeman is still on. Freddie Freeman's still a finalist.
And he won him the World Series.
So even
last
when
year.
they trade away a star, they still have the star in place to replace that person.
The poor Dodgers, how will they ever overcome this with their currently 9-1 postseason record?
It's not even a mistake. They traded away a guy who should be a Silver Slugger finalist, and they didn't make a mistake.
The rich get richer. I mean, it's an abundance of riches.
Trading out the front water fountain for a different water fountain.
And their pitching prospects they got back in return could end up making this look even, at least at the end, right? Like right now, it looks like the Cubs won the deal, but the Dodgers didn't need Busch, and now they've got young pitching coming up that
watch when Jackson
use for
Ferris
whatever.
is closing out the World
Don't
Series.
get Barb
next
started
year.
in the
No,
chat.
just-
a pitch for the Dodgers. They may trade him because they can just pay for whatever they want.
I was about to
don't
say,
care.
just
Busch
wait.
is a good player for the Cubs.
Just wait until Jackson Ferris and Zaire Hope are traded for Paul Skeens.
Yeah,
What are we doing?
That's right.
God, Sean, that's so right.
Or Skubal. We'll talk about that later.
Jordan,
I'm going to throw up when that happens.
it's early in the offseason, but maybe it isn't too early to. I want to get your opinion on of all the people that maybe deserve extensions. I know we're talking about adding to this team. I know we're talking about trying to bring in more high-end talent, but if you're talking about trying to extend a guy, wouldn't you think Michael Busch is front of the line? Would you try and maybe see if you could get something done now with Michael Busch in the offseason?
For Busch, I probably would because he's older, and I think that what you're seeing from Michael Busch is probably sustainable, right? Like
He could get better.
Yes. I mean, he might be able to hit more than 34 home runs at some point in his career. I think that the one thing that I would like to see them do, this isn't his fault, but I think he needs to play more against left-handed pitching next year. I mean, I think that
Everybody agrees.
If you're going to extend him and you're going to make more of an investment in him, then it stands to reason he should be able to play no matter who's on the mound. So I think that that's something that has to happen. But yes, I think Michael Busch is probably number one on that list. I would love to extend PCA, but I think I want to see it for one more year. I think what he did in the first half of the year was truly one of the most fun experiences as a Cubs fan. Like every night you're tuning in to see this guy play the field and bat because he is absolutely a marvel. But because his development so far has had a lot of peaks and valleys, I think the biggest mistake sports teams usually make is all the fans want to be like, oh, extend. They do it too early. And then you're like, oh God, now we've committed this much to this player for this many years. And then if they don't live up to it, it really kills you. I think Tom's got PTSD from some of these previous long-term contracts. So I think that before they sign Pete to a huge contract, I think that they all probably want to see one more year of him performing.
And that's all silliness because PTSD, it's not even a $200 million contract we're talking about. That
Well,
if it turns out bad, you're not like, oh.
Right.
Yeah,
Jackson Merrill's
Jason
132.
Hayward should not sink the Cubs.
But in their minds, I agree.
Yes,
But in their minds,
right.
it does.
I know. It's
Look,
silliness.
Jason Hayward's contract, if you told Tom you can pay $184 million for an inspiring speech and a rain delay to help you win the World
would do
Series,
it now.
he would have done it. But the fact is that contract, no matter what they say, until we're proven otherwise, has clouded their judgment when it comes to committing to players long term. I don't know what else you could put in to say that, like, who else can you point to say, well, the Cubs would have signed this player for this reason or that player for this reason. I mean, allegedly they offered Shohei Ohtani $500 million when he got $700 million, which meant that they weren't even really willing to commit to the best player in the world. So until we see them do it, I just don't know. I think that Hayward contract has something to do with it.
Yeah, and just to be very, very fair, that I think the whole of the Jason Hayward contract was probably maybe disaster is a dramatic word, but it wasn't good, right? But I will tell you that we are going to talk a little bit about a certain anniversary of the Chicago Cubs winning the pennant about 9 years ago. And if you pull up, I did it like a week ago. They have like that highlight package of the series, and I think even in this game in particular, and if you watch that, there's Jason Hayward hitting doubles down the line. There's Jason Hayward making plays in right field. I mean, he did have a good series against the Dodgers. I get it. We all look back and think about the awful things and the ineptitude and him just pounding the baseball into the ground and straight to second base, and then it goes straight to first. But he was the guy that helped win on that team.
Let's get to that now, by the way. It's our Taking the Temp segment. Your trusted local experts. Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. It never got hotter in October than it did in 2016. And it is criminal. As you were just talking about the J-Hay stuff, I was thinking to myself, of all of the crazy video that we see, like athletes saying, I can't do anything, I can't go anywhere, blah, 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 TMZ, I can't do this. If you do it, there's a video. Even if you don't know there's a video, right? Like that stuff's existed. There's a video of anybody walking down the street right now. You could Google Map and find videos of stuff. You could even see Lou Piniella walking across the street outside Wrigley Field if you Google Map. But somehow, some way, just in 2016, there's not a video of that speech. It's criminal. How was there not a...
That is a
muffled,
great point.
a muffled down the hallway.
All the Hard Knocks garbage that we see, or like all the behind the scenes fake reality TV stuff. Nobody thought to themselves, you know what, I'm going to sneak in with my iPhone and just see
someone
what
needs
these
to
guys
call
are
the
up to.
Guardians and see if there was like a camera in that clubhouse that could have captured.
But it was in the weight room. It was in a tiny little weight room that was left.
But meanwhile, we have Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson on a hot mic
Right, like it's just
for
crazy that
10,
doesn't
15
exist.
minutes at a time.
Yeah.
So what is today? Today is 9 years ago. The Cubs finally won the pennant for the first time since 45. One of, if not the greatest games in the history of Wrigley Field.
Were you
Dominant.
I was there.
I was there
covering it,
too. Yeah.
So I had this was my job that night. We had Cap doing it in studio, the pre and post game in studio. Kelly was going in the clubhouse after they won, but you had to go. There was a waiting period for that. and so she had to get down to the field. And then I was out at Wrigley Field as well during the game, did all the pregame stuff. But then after the game, I was to fill the time between Cap being able to get on the air in studio. They didn't want to lose any like time frame, right?
Yeah.
So I was on that what used to be the Captain Morgan deck.
Oh yeah.
I was the only person up there. Me and my cameraman. They wouldn't let anybody. It was just empty. The whole section had been cleared out. And so my vantage point for the last 2 innings was looking at the crowd and the police starting to gather outside Wrigley Field.
The horses
thinking,
and stuff.
Wow, I'm glad I'm up here.
Yeah.
You know. And then also trying to run every couple seconds, talk to the producer for a second, I'll be right back. And then I'd run and watch the game on the other side. And then I did on-field stuff. But for that 15 minutes before Cap would get on the air or Kelly could get in the clubhouse, I just had to fill on the rooftop. And we'd shoot the camera down and we'd see, guy trying to climb on the back of a horse and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So but it was unbelievable. During the game, I watched in the left field corner.
Yeah,
where that media section was.
I was there too. We were sitting first base side, and then after the game, I had to do a post game, whatever. When I was working at the Score, and I remember I'm there just in the seats as a fan, and what I remember, and I'm curious if you guys remember this, as happy of a night as it turned out to be, it felt like because the Cubs hadn't yet done it, that like until that last out, there was still a lot of anxiety in the park. Like, they were playing this.
5-0.
Yes, they're up 6-0.
Yeah.
Hendricks is cruising. Rizzo homers. Contreras. I mean, it's like everything that could go right is going right. They pound Kershaw the whole bit, but like until the last out, you felt this almost like silent anxiety in the park where people were cheering, but almost like a muted cheer every out because they were like,
it was
is
still
this really
nervous
happening?
Cub
Is this
fan.
really happening?
Counting
Is
the
this really
outs
happening?
on one hand. You
Yes.
can't clap when you're counting the outs.
And when they got the final out, as much as it was a celebration, it was a huge sigh of relief. It was like, I lived to see it. I lived to see them win the pennant. And there was a lot of emotion. I mean, I was seeing people crying.
Oh, yeah.
Next
Yeah,
to
see,
me.
I
It
cried.
was-
I cried
yeah.
when they won the pennant. I did not cry
Yeah.
when they won the World Series because that was the pennant was just that was like the breakthrough.
Yeah. I mean,
I can't believe it happened.
And so, like, that is my one lasting memory of being there was that as exciting, as great as it was, and I think a lot of people remember it as like, oh, well, that was the best one because it wasn't as stressful as Game 7, which obviously it was not.
Wasn't at Wrigley, though.
But at Wrigley, it was very stressful
Yes.
until they won that game.
It was an unbelievable moment. We'll share a couple more things, and then I still want to talk about this Scooby Snacks at Wrigley. But first, a word from our sponsors. Oh, we've got deals sweeter than candy this Halloween at Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake. Come in today to shop the No Tricks, Just Treat sales event and drive home with 0% financing, $0 down with no payments until 2026, and zero hidden fees on select new Chevrolet models. Or check out their selection of over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. That's not scary. And with one of the Chicago area's largest Chevy inventories, you're sure to find the perfect vehicle for you. They also are one of the top selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, so their prices are competitive, and you know you're getting a great deal. Plus, Ray's Price Promise lets you shop confidently because the price you see is the price you pay. Don't miss out on their No Tricks, Just Treat sales event going on all month long for 0% financing, $0 down and no payments until 26, zero hidden fees on select new Chevy models. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com.
And this Halloween season, you all know that moment, that terrifying moment, the one when you realize you've left your favorite sunglasses at the beach or on the top of the roof or at the gas station states away. Look, we've all been there too. But thankfully, we all found Shady Rays. That's right, and it changed the game. These sunglasses are made for real life. They're seriously good looking, polarized, durable, and not stupidly expensive. Here's the wild part. If you lose or break them, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair. No guilt trip, no regrets, just replacements. So now I can actually wear my sunglasses without fear and in style. On hikes, concerts, on a boat, haunted house, wherever, whenever, Shady Rays is the eyewear that has your back. So we've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. If you head to shadyrays.com, use the code CHGO, 35% off polarized sunglasses. So try it for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
Back on the CHGO Cubs podcast, just talking about how this is the 9-year anniversary. Of course, next year will be the anniversary of everything. And we'll have anniversary upon anniversary upon anniversary. Hopefully we'll have baseball too, right?
Don't.
But we'll get to that. Like, it was an unbelievable feeling. I felt the building literally shaking from that perch.
Oh, yeah.
So you're right behind home plate. You see it. And people, like you said, weeping. The concourse was like shaking in that old building. It reminded me of old Chicago Stadium when Jordan would get introduced. You used to feel the sound at old Chicago Stadium because I only would do standing room only is all I could afford in school. And the sound would go through your body. You would feel like your lungs and innards shaking. It wasn't that loud because it was outside, but the building was shaking.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that, and in my lifetime of going to Chicago sporting events, I think the loudest I've ever heard any Chicago sporting event was either the night the Cubs won the pennant, the night that Patrick Kane had the hat trick against Vancouver in 2010, which sent him to the Stanley Cup.
You were at that game.
I was at that game.
Nice.
And I think that the other one might have been when they won. Actually, you know what? I think that the other moment was when Kerry Wood hit the home run in Game 7 in 2003.
Holy cow.
Even though the Cubs lost, as bad as it was in Game 6.
Because Lou hit the homer the inning before.
Yes, in the Bartman game, killed everyone, right? And so then the next night, you're like, well, I'm coming here to watch them lose and blow it. But then Kerry Wood hits a home run. And all of a sudden, the entire wave of emotion was like, oh, my God.
We're going to
do it.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, the whole thing went to, you know what?
Kyle Farnsworth, yeah.
But that home run from Kerry Wood, that's what you're saying, Luke.
Yeah.
I remember the ground shaking around me at Wrigley Field when he hit that home run.
Well, you were at Game 7, the Rajai Davis. That had to be pretty.
He's going to be a free agent after the year. The Tigers will never pay this guy, $400 million in free agency?
Right.
Maybe more? I don't know. He's either one or two when you're talking best pitchers in baseball. He's one or two.
Yeah.
And I was watching Joel Sherman about it, and he was talking about, the teams that would line up and who would be available. I don't think the Tigers will do it because they haven't won since 84. They can't afford to punt on the best pitcher in baseball. They have to go for it next year, even if it's unrealistic.
Yeah, I mean...
What are you going to get back?
The one thing I would also say is I agree with your line of thinking, but, why couldn't the Tigers... Who else are they paying?
They should.
Right, but I guess my point is, he's going to get an enormous AAV because of the pitcher that he is. And you're right, it's Skeens and Skubal, right?
Yeah.
Then everybody else.
And I think it's Skubal and then Skeens.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could go either way, and I'd be okay with that. But I guess my point is, if I'm the Detroit Tigers, I'm not paying anybody else. They don't have any high-priced players on the team. They haven't added big... I mean, they have Baez, but his contract looks like nothing, and he's already, 5 years into it now, right? So, you're not... You have no money committed. To me, this is why baseball is definitely going to have a lockout, because teams like the Tigers that have a pitcher like this should be incentivized to retain those players. Can we be done with having the Pirates and the Tigers and the Rays be feeder teams for the Dodgers? I think because if you think about Skubal's market realistically, let's say it's a $400 million contract. That leaves probably 4 teams in the bidding, right?
And hopefully the Cubs.
They won't be. So it'll be the Yankees, the Mets, the Dodgers, the Phillies. That's pretty much it, right? Who else would spend?
Maybe not
Blue
the
Jays.
I was going to say maybe not the Phillies, but the Blue Jays or San Francisco.
Yeah.
San Francisco always
Maybe.
seems to have that huge money to throw around and never land.
Okay,
the guy.
Boston I don't even think they would because of some of the pitching contracts that they've signed
They have some
recently.
ownership issues too as well.
I'm saying it right now. The Cubs should trade for him this offseason, trade everybody except for Horton or PCA.
I was going to say, what would you be willing to give up for him?
Well, the trade would, even though it's a rental, and Boris is his agent, so you'd almost have to be like a sign and trade in another sport. Like I'd have to guarantee it wouldn't be a Tucker deal. I'm not doing the Tucker deal.
No,
with him.
you'd have to get
because they're not
certainty for
trading him
multiple
on the
years.
Tucker deal. What they want to return so bad, like trading him would be like the worst thing in Tigers history.
You wouldn't trade Horton for Skubal?
I would not.
I would.
Would you?
Yeah.
Because
Years aside,
but it wouldn't just be Horton. That's the deal. Like,
oh no, for sure.
They're not
For
going to
sure.
say we're going to take Horton, a guy that had a good second half of the season. They're going to say we want Horton, and we want PCA or Busch, and we want Jackson Wiggins, and we want whoever you think.
I don't think that the Cubs system is good enough. They'd have to give up too
That's
much.
what I think.
Major
They don't
league
have. They don't have a top
Yeah,
five.
maybe
trophy.
that's the rub,
They
right?
don't have a top
Yeah.
five guy. So then they'd say to you, well, if we're giving you him, then you have to give us Wiggins, your top pitching prospect, and you probably have to give us Shaw and Horton. That's the type of pull they'd be looking for.
yeah.
And you can't help
Cubs
but
aren't doing that.
You can't help
No.
but feel like too that
And
And
paying
spend
$400 million,
no
no
way.
way.
yeah, this is me totally just like hypotheticalizing like the whole thing here. That I imagine maybe the Tigers went to Skubal and they said, what would an extension look like? And then Skubal's people came back to him and probably had a 4 in front of it.
Yeah.
And
I've
now
heard
the Tigers
the
are probably
rumors are
maybe
like
soft
250
leaking.
apart.
They're soft leaking.
Yeah.
What if we traded him? What would the Tigers fans flip out? What would this look like? Because maybe that number is a 4. And if he entered the open market, maybe there's only a handful of teams that could be able to pay for
By
it.
the way, Boris is probably all for it. Get him on a playoff team. Get him in the postseason. That's a really good team, and then make that team bid for him.
Well, I just wanted to add largest pitching contracts ever. Yamamoto is the largest at $325. Cole was at $324, so I think he got more AAV than Yamamoto. But those are the only 2 pitching contracts to ever be over $250 or $250 million.
Yeah.
And
To say
9
Tom would spend $250. Yeah, not $250 million.
No,
9 have been over $200 million. So only 9 pitchers have gotten over $200 million.
And
The
he's
four of us
20.
agree he's $400 million.
He's 29, right?
There's 2 questions there. What about the $400 million?
Is he 400? Do we all agree that he'll get $400
I
million?
mean, I don't know. I would say it's going to start probably at $350 at the lowest.
if he has
He'll be
the season that he
29
had
in
this year,
November.
if he
Yeah.
wins 3 straight Cy Youngs and he stays in Detroit, he'll get $400
Well,
million.
but here's the one thing though, because he's going to be 29. How many years are you giving him? I mean, that's the other thing. It's like, let's say it's a 6-year
so
deal,
the AAV has to be just
right? So then are you paying him $50 a year for 6 years?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
or
that's
seven,
probably
seven
what
or,
it is.
And I
7
go,
or 8,
I
something
go,
along
I go
those lines.
Skubal, Horton, and anybody else.
And then keep in mind too, from like a collective bargaining perspective, whatever happens with
Yeah.
Skubal, Skeens is going to get more. So it's always the next person that's putting the penny on top, right?
Yeah.
No, we can wrap. Cole signed his deal at 29, so it's not
Well, it's not that
absurd.
bad. He'll get $400 million. He won't play for the Cubs, but hopefully Horton becomes Skubal. All right. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by our friends at Toyota. Thanks to Jordan for coming in. Joey, great job as always. Sean, great job as always. And I was, as always, subpar. Thanks
You are excellent.
for checking out the podcast. We had a great time. We are back tomorrow as well at 2 o'clock. We're working on some guests. We'll see what happens. And then also Corey and Brendan with their podcast tomorrow night as well. The Cubs-related podcast will be coming your way. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, as always, fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.